No one in that showroom had the slightest idea that the woman they were about to disrespect owned every car, every desk, and every paycheck inside that building. The dealership pulsed with noise and movement. Bright showroom lights bounced off polished hoods. Salespeople laughed loudly near the coffee station, swapping weekend plans and easy commissions. Customers drifted between vehicles, fingers trailing along glossy doors, dreaming quietly. Then the glass doors slid open. A black woman in her mid-40s stepped inside. There was nothing flashy about her. Plain blue jeans, worn sneakers, a soft gray hoodie zipped halfway up. No diamonds, no designer labels, no signs of wealth at all. Just a calm, focused expression and eyes that noticed everything. Her name was Angela Brooks. To everyone else, she looked like another casual visitor killing time. What no one knew, what no one even suspected, was that Angela was the CEO and majority owner of Brooks Automotive Group, a nationwide chain of luxury and mid-range dealerships valued at over $400 million. That morning, Angela didn't arrive in a chauffeured car. She didn't carry a briefcase. She didn't announce herself. She came alone, undercover. For weeks, troubling complaints had been stacking up on her desk. Online reviews spoke of ignored customers, dismissive attitudes, and subtle but painful discrimination, especially toward black and minority buyers. The board of directors suggested internal audits, policy reviews, and formal investigations. Angela declined. Paper reports could be edited. Numbers could be explained away. But behavior? Behavior never lied. If something was wrong, she wanted to feel it, not read it. She stepped deeper into the showroom, her footsteps quiet against the polished floor, and stopped beside a silver SUV near the center display. She pretended to examine the price sticker, slowly nodding, as if calculating monthly payments. She waited. 30 seconds passed. Then a minute. Across the room, salespeople laughed. One glanced at her, then quickly looked away. Another walked straight past her to greet a better-dressed couple. Angela's smile faded, but only slightly. She waited longer. Still, no one approached. No greeting. No, "Can I help you?" Not even a glance. And in that silence, standing invisible in a building she owned, Angela Brooks began to understand exactly what the complaints had been trying to say. Two salesmen stood a few feet away, pretending to straighten brochures while whispering to each other. One glanced at Angela from head to toe, his eyes lingering on her sneakers. A crooked smirk spread across his face. "She's just browsing," he muttered under his breath. "Yeah," the other chuckled quietly. "Probably can't afford anything here." Their laughter was low, but not low enough. Angela heard every single word. For a brief moment, she stood still. Not shocked, not angry, just observant. Years of leading boardrooms had taught her one thing. People reveal their true character when they think no one important is watching. She took a steady breath and walked toward the nearest sales desk. "Hi," she said politely, her voice calm and measured. "Could someone help me? I'm interested in financing options." The salesman behind the desk didn't even bother to look up from his computer. His fingers kept typing as if she didn't exist. "We're busy," he said flatly. "You can wait." No explanation. No apology. Not even eye contact. Angela nodded once and stepped back. She waited. Seconds later, the front doors opened again. A well-dressed white couple entered. Expensive coats, confident posture, the kind of people dealerships loved at first glance. The same salesman instantly stood up, his face transformed. "Welcome," he said brightly, flashing a wide smile. "Right this way. Let me show you our best deals." He walked past Angela as if she were invisible. She stood there, watching him pull chairs out for the couple, offering coffee, laughing at their jokes. Another salesperson joined in, eager to help. Angela felt the familiar weight settle in her chest. Not surprise, but disappointment. She had seen this before, just never this clearly. She walked slowly toward another row of vehicles, pretending to examine a black sedan. Her reflection stared back at her from the polished door. Calm face, steady eyes, no hint of what she was feeling inside. Nearby, two younger employees whispered again. "Why do people like her even come in here?" one said. "Waste of time," the other replied. Angela turned slightly, making sure they could see her. Neither stopped. Then a floor manager approached. He was tall, confident, and impatient, the kind of man used to authority without accountability. His eyes narrowed the moment he saw Angela standing alone. "Ma'am," he said sharply, his tone clipped, "are you actually planning to buy today? Or just looking around?" Angela met his gaze and smiled calmly. "I'm considering several vehicles," she replied. "I'd like to understand my options." The manager let out a short, dismissive laugh. "These cars aren't cheap," he said, lowering his voice but not his attitude. "Maybe you should try a used lot across town. Something more appropriate." A few nearby staff members snickered. One shook his head. Another looked away, pretending not to notice. Angela felt it then. Not anger. Clarity. This wasn't one bad employee. This was culture. She slowly reached in her pocket and pulled out her phone. Not to record, not to call anyone yet. Just to check the time. 8 minutes. In less than 10 minutes, the truth had exposed itself. She walked toward the customer seating area and sat down quietly. From there, she watched everything. She saw how quickly staff rushed toward customers who looked wealthy. She saw how others, older people, minorities, casually dressed buyers, were ignored. She heard jokes whispered, saw eyes roll, watched respect being rationed based on appearance. One young salesman passed by her table and muttered, "Unbelievable," under his breath. Angela looked up. "Excuse me?" she asked calmly. He froze for half a second, then forced a laugh. "Nothing, ma'am." He walked away quickly. Angela leaned back in her chair. Her heart was steady, her breathing slow. This wasn't personal anymore. This was professional. She thought about the thousands of customers who had walked through these doors before her. People who saved for years, people buying their first car, parents shopping with their children, only to be dismissed, embarrassed, or pushed aside. All because someone decided they didn't look worthy. She stood up. The showroom noise continued. Laughing, selling, dealing, completely unaware that the ground beneath them was about to shift. Angela walked toward the center of the floor and stopped. She took one final look around. The salesman, the manager, the ignored customers. Then she reached into her pocket again. This time, she made a call. Her voice was quiet, controlled. "Bring everyone to the floor," she said. "Now." She ended the call and slipped her phone away. Angela Brooks didn't raise her voice. She didn't argue. She didn't demand respect. She waited, because she knew something they didn't. And in just a few minutes, every single person in that showroom was going to learn exactly who they had been talking to. Angela walked toward the center of the showroom and calmly pulled out her phone. She didn't rush. She didn't look angry. She made one call. "Bring everyone to the floor," she said quietly. "Now." Then she ended the call and slipped the phone back into her pocket. At first, nothing happened. Salespeople continued talking. A deal was being discussed at one desk. Laughter echoed near the coffee machine. Then the change began. Managers started whispering to each other. One checked his phone. Another straightened his tie. Salespeople slowly drifted toward the center of the showroom, unsure why they were being called. Confusion spread like a ripple through the room. "What's going on?" someone murmured. "Is there a visit today?" another asked. Before anyone could answer, the glass doors burst open. The regional director hurried inside. He was out of breath. His face was pale. Panic flickered in his eyes as he scanned the showroom. Then he saw her. He stopped dead in his tracks. "Oh my God," he whispered, barely loud enough to hear. A few employees followed his gaze. Angela stood calmly in the center of the floor. The director walked toward her quickly, lowering his voice. "Ms. Brooks, I didn't know you were coming today." Angela didn't respond. Instead, she slowly reached up and removed her hoodie. She stood taller now, confident, unmistakable. "I think it's time I introduced myself," she said clearly. Every sound in the showroom vanished. No keyboards, no laughter, no movement. "My name is Angela Brooks," she continued, her voice steady. "I'm the CEO of Brooks Automotive Group." The words hit the room like a shockwave. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A salesman dropped his pen. Another took a step back. Faces drained of color as realization set in. The same people who had laughed. The same people who had ignored her. The same people who had judged her. Angela scanned the room slowly. For the last 30 minutes, she said, I've been treated as if I didn't belong here. She paused. I was ignored, mocked, talked about, and openly disrespected. Her eyes locked onto the salesman who had smirked earlier. Is this how you treat customers you think don't have money? She asked calmly. The man opened his mouth. No words came out. Angela turned to face the floor manager. Is this how you were trained to represent my company? Silence. No excuses. No explanations. I didn't build this company, Angela continued, so people could feel humiliated inside buildings that carry my name. She took a slow breath. I built it on respect, on fairness, on the belief that every customer deserves dignity, no matter how they dress, where they come from, or how much money you assume they have. Some employees stared at the floor. Others looked frozen in fear. A young salesperson in the back swallowed hard. Angela folded her hands calmly. This wasn't a misunderstanding, she said. This wasn't one bad moment. She gestured around the room. This was a pattern. She turned toward the regional director. Where is HR? They're on their way, he replied quickly. Angela nodded. Then she said the words that shattered careers. Good. The room felt heavy. Angela continued, her voice firm but controlled. Effective immediately, this dealership is under review. A murmur swept through the staff. No one leaves, she added. No one speaks over me. She looked back at the group. I came here undercover because I wanted the truth. And unfortunately, I found it. Her gaze hardened, not with anger, but with resolve. In a few minutes, she said, decisions will be made. Decisions about jobs, about leadership, about accountability. She took one final look at the faces in front of her, some terrified, some ashamed, some still in disbelief. Then she said quietly, and when HR arrives, things will change. The showroom remained silent, because everyone in that room understood one thing now. This wasn't a warning. This was a reckoning. HR representatives entered the showroom with clipboards in their hands and serious expressions on their faces. The mood shifted instantly. What had once felt like a place of easy laughter and casual deals now felt like a courtroom. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the hum of the air conditioning seemed louder than before. Angela stood at the center, calm and unshaken. She didn't need to raise her voice. She had already documented everything. Audio recordings, discrete video clips, timestamps that told the full story minute by minute. Every laugh, every insult, every moment of neglect. She didn't explain the evidence. She didn't need to. She raised her hand and pointed. You, she said, her fingers steady. Terminated. The salesman's face went white. What? Wait, he began. HR stepped forward and asked him a hand over his badge. Angela pointed again. You. Terminated. Another employee froze, then shook his head in disbelief. I didn't do anything, he whispered. Angela looked at him. You laughed, she said simply. She pointed again. Terminated. One by one, names are called. Some tried to speak. Some tried to argue. Some tried to explain their behavior away. None of it mattered. By the time Angela lowered her hand, half the staff had been fired on the spot, including the floor manager, 2 senior sales leads, and employees who had worked there for years. The consequences were swift. One man dropped into a chair, staring at the floor in shock. Another wiped tears from his face, whispering apologies no one answered. A woman begged HR for another chance, her voice breaking. Then one salesman stepped forward, hands trembling. Please, he stammered. I didn't know who you were. Angela turned to him slowly. Her expression wasn't angry. It was disappointed. That's the problem, she said coldly. You should treat everyone with respect, especially when you don't know who they are. The words cut deeper than shouting ever could. Angela turned toward the remaining staff. Those still standing looked terrified, some ashamed, some silent, some unable to meet her eyes. This dealership will be shut down temporarily, Angela said clearly. There will be mandatory retraining. Every policy will be reviewed. She paused. Anyone who stays will be held to a higher standard than ever before. She let the weight of that sink in. This company's name is on the building, she continued. And from this moment on, that name will mean dignity. No one dared interrupt. Angela gestured to HR. Make sure exit procedures are handled professionally, she said. No shouting, no humiliation. Then she turned and walked toward the doors. Her footsteps echoed across the floor she now reclaimed. But just before she reached the exit, Angela stopped. She turned back one final time. Her voice was calm, but unforgettable. If you judge people by appearance, she said, you will always underestimate your consequences. No one spoke. No one moved. Angela pushed the doors open and stepped into the daylight. Behind her, careers had ended. But something else had begun. A lesson no one in that showroom would ever forget. Because that day, they didn't just lose jobs. They learned the cost of disrespect. News spread faster than anyone expected. By the next morning, short clips from inside the dealership were everywhere. Blurred faces, shocked reactions, Angela's calm voice cutting through the tension. Social media exploded. Reviews flooded in by the thousands. Some were angry. Some were relieved. Many simply said, about time. Headlines followed within hours. CEO goes undercover, exposes discrimination at her own dealership. Disrespect costs careers in shocking showroom reveal. But Angela Brooks didn't celebrate. She went to work. Within days, she launched mandatory diversity and ethics training across every dealership under her brand. Attendance wasn't optional. Completion wasn't symbolic. Employees were tested, monitored, and held accountable. She hired professional mystery shoppers, people of different races, ages, and backgrounds, sent in randomly to evaluate real behavior, not rehearse smiles. Promotion policies were rewritten from the ground up. Sales numbers alone were no longer enough. Respect, fairness, and customer feedback now mattered just as much. At first, critics predicted disaster. But something unexpected happened. Customers returned. People who had once walked out quietly began walking back in. This time confident, heard, and welcomed. Word spread that Brooks Automotive felt different now. The energy shifted. Trust slowly rebuilt. And as trust returned, sales increased. Weeks later, Angela returned to the same dealership. This time, she arrived in a tailored suit. Clean lines, polished shoes, no disguises, no silence. The staff, new faces, retrained attitudes, greeted her warmly. Not because she was the CEO, but because that was the new standard. Angela walked the floor, observing quietly, listening, smiling. Then she did something unexpected. She purchased a vehicle, not because she needed one, but to prove a point. That respect shouldn't depend on status. That dignity shouldn't be conditional. That leadership means action, not speeches. As Angela drove away, the message she left behind was clear. Respect isn't optional. It's foundational. And sometimes, the person you dismiss as nobody is the one who decides everything.